The Abbey is always changing. That might sound strange to hear, but just take my experience. For hundreds of years, I've been up here in the Triforium, gathering dust and barely seen by a soul. But then, only a few years ago, up come hundreds of people, builders, designers, artists, architects, carpenters, all talking about some big project. And once their work was done, I barely get a moment to myself. There are always visitors up here admiring the view, gazing at the Abbey's treasures. Some of them even notice me, a simple stone corbel lit up like a Christmas tree. So when you look at the Abbey, you might be tempted to think this place has stood unchanged for hundreds of years. But this is a living building. It's shaped by the people who live, work and visit here. Nothing ever stays the same. This treasure here is also a sign of how the Abbey changes over time. You might recognise the statue Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, you'll have to forgive me here as I'm going to get all technical, for though this looks like a statue, it's actually a maquette, a half-sized plaster cast. It was made so everyone knew what the finished statue would look like. And this was only one of 10 in a series of life-sized stone figures that were placed above the great west door of the Abbey in 1998. Not that long ago when you think the Abbey has stood here for almost 1,000 years. The 10 statues are known as the 20th century martyrs, and they look down on everyone who comes to visit. They also act as a reminder of the sacrifice each of these people has made for their faith. The ultimate sacrifice of giving their own life. Each of the 10 were chosen from every continent, and I'm sure you've heard of some of them. There's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, the famous civil rights campaigner from America. There's also Saint Oscar Romero, the Archbishop of El Salvador. There's Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the priest who gave his life to save another's in a Nazi concentration camp. All their stories are full of hope and inspiration, and though we know each of these martyrs lost their lives, their stories don't end with their deaths, as the way they lived their lives became an example for us all. One such story is that of Wang Ziming. He was born in China and raised as a Christian, and at the age of 44 he became a priest, even though it was not easy to be a Christian in China during that time. He often refused to take part in meetings where he was expected to be rude to people singled out by the government. He said, "My hands have baptized many converts and should not be used for sinfulness." Because of this, he was considered untrustworthy. A few years later, he was arrested and labelled a troublemaker. It was only a matter of time before he was killed. But as a martyr, his story does not end there. Since his death, the region where he came from has seen a huge growth in the number of Christians and places of worship, and in 1981 a memorial was unveiled in China to his memory. Wang Ziming is no longer with us, but his sacrifice means we still think about him and all those who gave their lives for their faith. His story lives on and inspires others to try and do what is right. And who could have imagined at the time of his death that his image would have ended up above the great west door at Westminster Abbey, gazing down on all those who come and visit?